And a very happy Wednesday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, last night, Governor Gavin Newsom took to social media and YouTube to deliver what he called a major address to Californians, a speech he called Democracy at a Crossroads. Here's a little of what it sounded like.
Did he have Barbara Ferrer running his IT?
If anyone actually tried to tune in at 6:30 last night to hear Gavin Newsom's big fancy speech that was actually going to be aired on some of the cable television networks and Fox 11, Gavin had no audio.
I have tech issues.
He was speaking and nobody could hear him.
Yeah.
And they had to fade it out, go back to the blank screen, and do it a second time.
And then I saw his press guy pathetically brag about the fact that there were 500,000 people tuning in. And I tweeted at him last night and said, how many of them can read lips?
Oh, so that's an account you follow now, Gavin Newsom's press office? That's a real interesting one.
Oh, that guy is a real jackass.
And I'm sure he's getting paid with our government money.
Oh, yes. To be Gavin Newsom's personal fixer. And I'm surprised that Gavin Newsom didn't know how to press the green button, being a professional podcaster and all.
Next slide.
This is frequently what happens. For those of us who do radio professionally, or even television for that matter, most of the shops are now pretty bare bones. When I first started working at KABC, we had a massive building that was filled with people, and if you didn't get there at 8:30 in the morning, it was hard to find a parking spot anywhere near the door because so many people worked at the operation.
Wow, it's a different landscape now.
Yeah, no kidding. But it's not just a KABC thing. It's pretty much across the board.
Oh, you go to Fox 11, and they've got that whole building, and they've got this massive newsroom, and there's usually like 6 people there.
But whenever you have someone like Gavin Newsom, when you have some celebrity, and I call him a celebrity because the term has been devalued, but you have some celebrity who wants a podcast as a vanity project, they all have like 900 people working on the podcast. It's not just a host, a booker, a producer, maybe some engineers and tech people. It is 432 people. And whenever you have that many cooks in the kitchen, nothing ever goes out correctly. Nothing. Because too many people are touching it. And when you have that many people touching it, and you have someone who's doing the podcast or the program that really fundamentally doesn't know what they're doing, it goes off the rails real fast. And that's basically what happened with Gavin Newsom last night. And I've got to tell you, I enjoyed every minute of it.
Gavin Newsom wanted attention from the whole world, calling this very special address. He has not done many scripted addresses to the state of California in 6 years, and it immediately went off the rails because you couldn't hear a damn thing he was saying.
And if anyone deserves to be humiliated, it's that sociopath.
That is something we are mindful of.
And, of course, instead of referencing anything going on in the state of California and trying to keep the peace and trying to keep our infrastructure from being destroyed, he spent the entire time trying to present himself as the chief foil to Donald Trump.
Good luck with that.
Because Gavin Newsom, in his delusional mind, thinks he's going to be the next president of the United States. Guess what, Gavin? People in the rest of the country aren't as dumb as us. So that's never going to happen. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, unlike previous nights since the rioting started in downtown L.A., last night there was a curfew, and Randy, we benefited from that.
Not only was there a curfew, which Karen Bass announced about 2 hours before it was set to take place, which is kind of odd for planning, but as soon as that curfew was enacted, LAPD was allowed to do their jobs, and they made lots of arrests, and what do you know? Nothing was set on fire last night. No Waymos were destroyed. There weren't any reports of looting in Los Angeles. The looting was back where you'd expect it, in Oakland.
I talked to people in law enforcement in Los Angeles last night, and they told me that it was basically a quiet night in the rest of the city. And the theory is that every a-hole in town was in one part of downtown L.A.
So maybe we just need to give them that part of town, put up some walls. They could do whatever they want there, and the rest of us can live in peace.
Yeah, they don't want to rob each other. They want to rob the rest of us. All right. For more on what happened last night, here's KTLA.
As promised, police...
Let me rewind that.
Mayor Karen Bass has issued a dusk to dawn curfew for a part of downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, this comes as the city reached a tipping point following days of anti-ICE protests, arrests, fires, and looting.
Don't forget the Waymos.
How many Waymos went up in flames?
Several. And each of those costs about $200,000.
Great.
KTLA's Carlos Herrera is live in downtown LA with the details. Good morning.
Good morning, Megan and Chris. Let's start with some encouraging news because we know we haven't had much of it in the last few days. LA may have actually just experienced its quietest day this week. We know there was a lot of violence and looting and vandalism in the last few nights, but not last night. And that's
Why didn't they try this on Saturday?
Have you noticed, by the way, that the elected Democrats have moved on from there was no looting, there was no rioting, no one got hurt, there was no violence, to, yeah, it happened, but it's all in one tiny part of town.
It's in one small parcel of this massive city.
So who cares if cinder blocks get thrown at heads, as long as it's only in one part of town?
I mean, it is in the part of town where they want the world to come for parts of the Olympics in just a few years. It's where they're about to redo the convention center, except they don't want to get rid of the hookers on Figueroa. It's where they want a whole bunch of people to see what LA's all about.
But, Randy, it's only one part of town.
And that's an indication that this newly instated curfew may have actually worked.
Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew, and you will be prosecuted. Hundreds of...
Okay, notice the difference in tone there compared to the BS she was spewing the rest of the week, where she was almost apologetic that she had to tell them, please don't destroy public property. She's moved on from that, and now she's saying, if you do it, you're going to be arrested. And guess what? People respond to that.
It's incredible how things could change in the span of a day.
Hundreds of officers from police and sheriff departments from across the region and state are working alongside LAPD through a unified command structure.
As promised, police started the mass arrests of protesters right after the emergency curfew came into effect at 8 p.m. It includes about 1 square mile of downtown Los Angeles, which houses City Hall, the main county criminal courthouse, the LAPD headquarters, and federal buildings that have been the target of protests and property damage following 4 days of civil unrest.
Didn't they also deface the Kobe mural?
They did that too. And you know what? If they're protesting outside of City Hall, Randy, there might actually be more criminals in the building than outside the building.
Property damage following 4 days of civil unrest. 25 people were arrested on suspicion of violating that curfew last night. It appears to have quelled protests for at least one night.
We're already just wondering, is it over now? Is it?
Please let it be over, please.
We'd really like to go back to the crime blotter. What the hell was that?
Shortly before the curfew took effect, the local faith leaders and demonstrators gathered for a prayer vigil at Grant Park, making a stern but non-violent call to end immigration sweeps in the city. The group marched toward the federal building, and hundreds more joined them along the way.
That wasn't the group that walked on the freeway, though, right? Because that did happen yesterday.
Oh, yes. The commute must have been a real breeze.
But as soon as the clock struck 8 p.m., the curfew went into effect. An LAPD helicopter declared the gathering unlawful, and the group mostly dispersed. But there was chaos and ensued as a group of about 150 people confronted by LA police. Officers were seen firing rubber bullets in hopes to disperse the group, and it eventually did.
Good for them.
Look at that. When you allow police to do their job, they take care of the problem.
We need to be peaceful because otherwise the message is lost. The message becomes one of violence. No, we don't want that. This is a peaceful...
Well, we allowed it for 3 days.
Yeah, don't try to change history, lady. We all saw it.
Demonstration today. We just had a prayer vigil. It's peaceful, and we are saying that we are behind and with the immigrants in our city.
We are expecting demonstrations today again. We know about 700 active duty Marines have arrived to assist police and some 2,100 members of the California National Guard. It's unclear where the Marines will be staged. We know they'll be here for the next 60 days.
You know what's funny is that all of them are changing their tune all at once. They're changing their tune on just flat out denying that it was happening. They're changing their tune on getting stern with them not to break the law and trying to rebrand themselves as, okay, starting today, we're going to be peaceful. Let's just block out what's happened up until today, but starting today, we're really going to crack the whip. And they're not being motivated by the fact that they think that there's anything wrong with destroying public property. They're not motivated by the fact that it was embarrassing what message we put out to the rest of the country over the last few days. What they're responding to are poll numbers that showed that Donald Trump is gaining steam on this issue. There's been a 20-some-odd point shift in his direction on the subject of immigration because people are so disgusted at what those buffoons did. And they're only responding to the politics of it. Just like when Newsom initially told them not to be violent, he didn't say don't be violent because that's illegal. He said don't be violent because you'll make Donald Trump look good.
That's such a weird message.
The only thing that they respond to are the politics of it. And now that it looks like this is going to cause them to lose power for a very long period of time, suddenly they're trying to erase history.
But officials say they're only here to protect federal officials and property here in LA. As we come back at our live again, that curfew expires at 6 a.m. It could be in effect for several more days. Chris and Megan.
We haven't heard yet officially if the curfew stays today, but it sure as hell worked yesterday.
Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, ICE is continuing to do their raids.
And it turns out a lot of the people that ICE is arresting are exactly who you thought ICE should be arresting. And they've released some of those names and now verified by ABC7. Holy cow.
So exactly who are the people ICE is arresting in these raids and just how many are violent criminals?
7 on Your Side investigates, verifying the backgrounds of some of the names ICE has provided to us. Eyewitness News investigative reporter Kevin Osbeck live in our newsroom now to share what we've uncovered. Kevin.
All right, Mark and Michelle, the most controversial part of this administration's immigration policy is that they are also rounding up and deporting nonviolent, undocumented immigrants. So who is it that ICE has been targeting these past few days here in L.A.? Violent criminals or just hardworking migrants? Well, it appears to be a combination of both. And 7 on Your Side investigates has spent
and by
the day
the way,
trying to...
this is what happens when you're a sanctuary state. If you weren't a sanctuary state, what they would do is they would go to the jails and go to the prisons and just issue a detainer for every illegal in those institutions. And because there are so many of them, that would occupy all of their time. But because we won't cooperate and give them the worst of the worst, what they have to do is go out and try to find them at their place of work, at their home, at their church, wherever you can find them in their community. And when you find them, guess what? They tend to hang out with other illegals. And that's where you cast a wider net and you just pick up all of them. You don't ignore it if you find out someone's in the country illegally. They're not the ones that are being targeted, but if they're related to this person or they work with this person and they're there when the raid is going on, guess what? They got to go too.
Well, it appears to be a combination of both. And 7 on Your Side investigates has spent the day trying to verify what ICE is telling us.
Dozens arrested, but who are they? One person now in ICE custody is 49-year-old Kung Chon Phan. The feds say the Vietnamese national's criminal history includes second-degree murder.
Holy cow!
Second-degree murder. And we won't turn these people over to the feds so we can send them back home.
This is who we're protecting, which leads to the raids that leads to the garment workers getting deported.
We confirm that through both court records.
I heard 8 gunshots.
And our own archives. Eyewitness News was there in 1994.
Wait, this guy committed a second-degree murder back in 1994 and he's still in the country?
And no one kicked him out because that would be separating families.
ICE might have a point here.
You think? If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, we got hundreds of emails from yesterday's program. If you missed it and you want to find out what you missed out on, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes, or do what George Gascon does to himself in the middle of the night.
Do a Google on YouTube.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Ricardo in San Jose writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Last night, Newsom accused Trump of authoritarianism. Now, didn't Gavin completely shut down California for 2 years, ban the sale of gas cars, eliminate diesel trucks from California, and chase refineries out?
Oh, yes. All while he was dining at the French Laundry when he shut everyone else down.
Feces everywhere. No compassion.
Okay, that had nothing to do with what he was saying, but I love that drop.
Did you see yesterday that there were pictures of his wife shopping in Beverly Hills?
Yes, she was walking around with a fancy handbag, and when asked for comment, a spokesperson said, well, you gotta understand, she used to have skin cancer, so she was looking for skin products.
And he's demanding retractions from everyone who posted the pictures, saying that she's a cancer victim.
What the hell is going on?
I have no idea. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Let's begin with Patrick in Rancho Palos Verdes. Patrick, hello.
Hey, John. How are you?
Good.
You know, I called in, they asked me what I was going to say, and then 30 seconds later you came out and said exactly what I was going to say, that these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states to put a bullseye on their locations, all they have to do is cooperate with law enforcement in the prisons and let the ICE agents know, the DHS people know that, you know, these people are in custody, and to put a hold on them and let them be deported. No muss, no fuss. Everybody wants these people out, you know. I don't understand why the ideological insanity continues.
No, and it gives you an opportunity. If you're a blue state Democrat, if you're Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass, it gives you an opportunity to look like a moderate on the subject, where you can say, all right, look, we're going to repeal the sanctuary city status, we're going to repeal the sanctuary state status, and we're going to take all the bad dudes in prison and county jail who are already in custody, and it's going to be that old Elvis Presley song, Return to Sender. And we're going to turn them over to ICE, and they're going to put them on a plane and send them back to Vietnam or wherever. And I think that would be a politically popular position, even in a place like California. But their attitude is the opposite. Their attitude is, if Trump wants to do it, it's evil, so we can't give an inch. And therefore, they're protecting those people, which is forcing Trump to cast a wider net and picking up people that probably he would otherwise not even have on his radar. But this is the scenario that they are forcing on the country because they won't give an inch on the criminals.
It's just a ridiculous ideological insanity. That's the only thing you can chalk it up to, because any kind of common sense would just enact that policy. It's expedient politically, and it's expedient for the well-being of the citizenry.
People do this on abortion too, and I don't understand it. most people, I would say, fall somewhere in the middle, where contraception's okay, but late-term abortion they have a problem with. They fall somewhere in between those two things. But you take the extreme pro-choice people, and they want to be able to abort kids on their 16th birthday. And you go, now, hey, wait a minute. Don't you think that position's a little extreme? Nope, we're not giving an inch. Well, fine, don't give an inch, but don't be surprised when people think you're crazy. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Eric in L.A. Eric, hello.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call. Everybody's asking, well, why did they hold the police back? Why did they let all the looting going on? And it's my opinion that most of these politicians are racist. Now, it's not the overt racism. It's the covert racism, the subtle racism of low expectations. They get all of these folks in to cause all this trouble, and they go ahead and let them loot. Let them go ahead and pick up some things, get a phone, get some tennis shoes, get some whatever, a little payoff. After all, in their opinion, that's what they're going to do anyway. We can't stop them. And if you look back at the movie Glory back in 1989 with Matthew Broderick, great film. He was a colonel of a Massachusetts regiment that was all black soldiers in Civil War. And in his first battle, he got put with another colonel who also had a lot of black soldiers. They went and hit this town, and then the other colonel let all of his soldiers go and loot and pillage the place. Well, Matthew Broderick's character, Colonel Shaw, was like, what's going on? Why are you letting him do this? And basically this other colonel's thing was, well, you got to give them something. They're less than human. This is what they do anyway. Randy, if you pull that dialogue and listen to it, you're going to be going, wow, look at all the politicians that this guy is the ancestor of.
Well, I had a conversation with a friend who is very much on the left, and we were talking about Kilmer Garcia, the guy from Maryland who was deported by Trump back to El Salvador. Then the senator went down and had a margarita with him, the whole thing. So I said, come on, you really don't want this guy in the country. The guy beat his wife. The guy was trafficking humans. And for heaven's sake, he's a member of a gang. And her response was, well, that's what they all do down there. She said, If you're from El Salvador, you have to join a gang because everyone else is in a gang. And if you don't join the gang, then you're not going to have protection. And I said, okay, first of all, that's an unbelievably disrespectful attitude to have. But secondly, if they're all members of gangs, then why do we want any of them? They don't listen to themselves speak.
Every time I hear somebody go, oh, who's going to mow our lawns? Who's going to wash our dishes or do our labor? I'm just going, they just can't get away from the old Southern Democrats. I'm hearing, who's going to pick my cotton?
Yeah, it's certainly, not a respectful way of looking at other human beings. But thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Daniel in Simi Valley. Daniel, hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
So let me tell you what these losers were doing in Burbank the other day for the past couple of days. I'm not going to give the FBO at the airport their name or anything. I don't want to draw any more attention to it. But ICE gets their airplanes fueled there, and they are kind of stationed there. So they decided to go ahead and block the entrance that you would typically use to get onto the airport. A lot of other things need to get through these gates as well, including what I do, which is flying medical flights and life-saving transplant flights that these people are kind of getting in the middle of. They block the entrance. They're shouting Nazi at anybody who works there. They're inundating the receptionist and the front desk there of this operation with phone calls nonstop, and they're even tweeting about it, and they're very proud that they're inundating the phone systems just because they are fueling airplanes there. They should know that they are actually getting in the way of life-saving medical flights by doing this nonsense in front of those gates and by inundating a phone system that other people need to get hold of for other things than just fueling a couple airplanes. They're out there with their signs. There's one woman on Instagram who does a 20-minute video, and she's super annoying, of course, and she's completely wrong about everything she's saying about what's going on there. She's even talking about that the LAPD shouldn't even be allowed in that jurisdiction because it's Burbank. She doesn't realize that the airport has their own police force. It's just a joke. But we now have to call ahead of time and get police escorts to go through there in order to make space for this. But that's what these losers are doing.
I would say put them all on the no-fly list, but that's too good. What we should do is banish them all to Spirit.
Well, I mean, they're right there. If they want a free flight somewhere, we can get them one. That's for sure. We can get them a free flight home if they really feel like they need it.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Randy, let's go back and find out just exactly who ICE is deporting right now in California.
Here's ABC 7.
When police say Kuhn committed the crime in the San Marino home.
3 cars pulled up in front of this home.
This is one of the guys they deported that was convicted of a second-degree murder back in the 90s.
3 cars pulled up in front of this home. 8 to 12 teenage gang members emerged from the cars, and at least 3 of them began firing randomly at people attending the party.
ICE also gave us the name and rap sheet of 44-year-old Armando Ordaz of Mexico. We confirmed his criminal history does in fact include rape, sexual battery, and petty theft. But ICE has released to us
So I'd love to hear someone like Isabel Urata or Ulises Hernandez defend not ICE going after that guy.
Well, what they would say is he did his time, and now he should be able to live freely among us. I'm sure that's the argument. It's stupid, and it doesn't make any sense, but from their warped point of view, that's what should happen.
These are the people that sanctuary city policies protect.
But ICE has released to us so far just about 24 names of those with a violent past. Meanwhile,
Oscar, Uriel, Lazaro.
District 14 council member Isabel Gerardo is reading the names of those arrested Friday at Ambiance, a garment district warehouse.
She doesn't want to read the name of the convicted murderer?
Yeah, how did she forget that one?
Who she says were just hard-working migrants.
These men aren't criminals. They're garment workers.
And this man we
met
out...
wasn't one of her aides arrested for assaulting a police officer?
Yes.
And this man we met outside a Home Depot in Whittier who says ICE cuffed him seems to back up that ICE agents aren't targeting only those with a violent history. They eventually saw that I had a green card, he told us. And then he says one of the agents said, hey, let him go.
All right, and when it comes to the names with criminal history ICE has given us, I did ask the agency today if they could tell us where they were arrested, and that's so we can see if they were arrested in these raids we've been covering or if they were picked up in their homes because they were already known to ICE. The agency told us it is unable to provide any further comment.
So that's what happened there. Then this morning you saw Bill Asaley's press conference where he threw federal charges at the guy throwing Molotov cocktails at ICE on Saturday in Paramount.
We'll have more on that later on in the program. But right now, let's go back to the phones and welcome John in L.A. John, hello.
Hi, John. I'm president of a nonprofit foundation for the last 45 years on the west side here. This morning, I received a letter from the California Center for Nonprofits and Management, and it solicited me to organize anyone to do with my foundation, which is set up to help children get off the street and into a positive environment. It wants me to organize my people to protest downtown. Almost verbatim. I was in shock. People don't donate to our foundation to go march and protest in any way, shape, or form. It's to help children get off the street into a positive environment. For me to be solicited by the California Management Bureau of Center for Nonprofits is like ludicrous to me. I can't understand it.
Did you contact them and tell them that was wildly inappropriate?
Oh, I sent an email immediately to them, and I hope I still have my nonprofit status at the end. I wasn't too rude, to say the least, but I was frank in regards to the solicitation just being so inappropriate.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Freddie in L.A. Freddie, hello.
Just like my old friend George Putnam used to say, the age of insanity. I was really blown away, but I wasn't when I heard about Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass telling the federal government they got to stop doing their raids in California and get out, like they're dictating federal policy on immigration law. Last I heard, the President of the United States is in charge of this country, not the mayor of Los Angeles or the governor of California. These people are completely out of touch with reality and with our democracy, because whatever is being done lawfully. This is our country. And you can see the people carrying the Mexican flag, and they're claiming now that this is their country. It's disturbing, but they burn our flag. If this would be happening in any other country, people would be thrown in jail and beaten up really badly. Imagine going to another country and carrying the American flag and burning the flag of the country that you're visiting.
Yeah, most countries wouldn't put up with that. In fact, most countries probably wouldn't have even let you move there in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're visiting, it's just a shame what's going on. Everything is out of control in California, and they're to blame. They are to blame. And, they're arresting people. I just lost my train of thought. But anyway.
It's because your seatbelt's unplugged.
Yeah, sorry. No, this is going to be long-lasting, till law and order will be put down, because these people don't know anything. They were treated with kid gloves. Karen Bass had the LAPD stand down for the first day or two. Even the chief had to come out and say that they couldn't handle it and they needed the federal troops. It's just beyond reality.
All right. Well, thank you so much for. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I hung up on him.
Okay. That's probably for the best.
We got to go.
Well, if someone else in the car wasn't wearing the seatbelt, we'd be hearing dinging more.